Hello everyone, welcome to another installment of the Gypsy Jazz Top 10 with Chris and Brad. My name is Chris.
My name is Brad.
And today we're going to talk about top 5 guitars. We each made our top 10, but we each made the top 5 of guitars. And we just want to say this is not about choosing the best guitars. These are just guitars we had a personal experience with, playing it somewhere, maybe in a concert or maybe just backstage. And they left a very good impression on us.
And then also to say that if it's not in our top 5, we're not saying it's a piece of garbage.
No. But it does give an indication about some of the really good guitar makers out there, right? So we want to start with a couple of honorable mentions. These are guitars that are not part of our top 5, but we feel they're worth talking about.
Absolutely. My honorable mention are the guitars from a luthier in Spain named Jerónimo Mateos. And now he's the only luthier I know out there that he makes guitars. These are handmade guitars, and they start at around 1,500 euros. And now Michael Horowitz on Django Books has been selling them, so you can get them via Django Books right now. And it's this handcrafted instrument for around that price, which is something I've never heard of. You know, that's usually the price of a Chinese factory guitar or something, but a handmade one. And it also comes with a piezo directly in the bridge, like kind of like a big tone. So you can buy it and play a concert with it that night. It's incredible. And so that's why I feel like I should just throw it out there. That to me, that whole system and the way those guys work is a really good thing.
My honorable mentions, it's two. The first one I want to talk about is a Dutch guitar builder called Leo Eimers.
Yeah, I know too.
And he makes handcrafted guitars. They're a little cheaper than most handmade guitars, but they're not cheap by any means. They start around like 2,000 euros. And he made a guitar, or a Stochelo Rosenberg. He played, for the longest time, he played on a guitar.
Yeah, that's right.
And I really liked the guitar, and it was a model antique. It's not even the Stochelo Rosenberg model, but it's the model antique.
Yeah.
Really nice guitar.
Okay.
And the other one I want to mention is a very cheap Chinese brand called Aria.
Very cheap.
Yeah, it's very cheap. I think it's between like $300 and $600 euros. And the reason I mention them is because that is the brand of guitar that I learned to play guitar, Gypsy guitar. Okay. The first 3 years, I was only playing on that guitar, and I loved it because it played easy. It was in tune across the whole neck, and it was just satisfying to play it. Of course, the sound is not a sound that you want to be hearing on the CD or anything.
Yeah, but for starting out, it's perfect.
For starting out, it's perfect. And maybe it's not your thing, like Gypsy guitar, and then you only spend maybe 500 euros, and then you can go on.
And then you can sell that and buy a Telecaster or something.
Yeah. Play some music people actually want to listen to.
Yeah, that's an idea.
Okay, well, let's get started with our top 5s. So my number 5 is a great guitar, and I played it quite a lot. But I have to say that when I played it, I didn't really play guitar. I could play some rhythm. That was all. And that was the guitar that Stochelo owned for a long time, and he recorded many CDs with. And he played in concerts, and it
was also the area, right?
No, it was his Selmer 504, and the one that said Django Reinhardt in the headstock.
That's incredible.
And some people say that it used to belong to Django Reinhardt, but probably it didn't. But there was one of the series that were made for Django. Yeah. And of course, it was a magical guitar, and I played it, and I played with him, and I was like, this sounds great. But Stochelo also loved it.
Yeah.
And a funny story is that Eric Clapton once tried to buy it from Stochelo, but Stochelo just couldn't part with it. But now he sold it anyway.
Of course.
And the reason that he sold it is those guitars are great, and you can feel the history behind them, but they're kind of fragile, right? And if you travel around with them in the planes, and then they break, and
they're not practical for a game musician.
Yeah, so it's my number 5 just because of the history, and I always felt like really special playing that guitar, even though I could only play the chords to minor string.
Yeah, and just so you know, everyone, that's how serious this list is. Top 5, number 5, Selmer. Django Reinhardt model Selmer.
Well, I had a great experience with it. What's your number 5?
Okay, so my number 5 is a specific Holo, a Bob Holo guitar. He's a luthier from Oregon that in the U.S., which is kind of he's fashionable right now. Everyone is going crazy over his guitars right now in the U.S. and in France. I don't know about in the Netherlands if he's is huge.
No.
Okay.
But in France they call them bobolo, right?
Yeah, bobo. Yeah. And anyways, so I played a few holos all around the world, and I would say the best holo I've ever played is Jeff Radaich's. He's Gonzalo's rhythm player. His holo is the best holo I've ever played, and the reason that's getting my top 5 is because it's a really light, thin, comfortable guitar.
Yeah.
And because we all have gypsy jazz guitars, we all play gypsy jazz guitars that are just impossible to play. And sometimes people think that's just something you deal with, But for me, sometimes it's too much. And this guitar, it doesn't. With a lot of guitars, you have to warm up to. You have to play for a while. But this was one of the only guitars I've ever been given where you sit and you start playing and it's immediately comfortable. And to me, that's worth a lot.
The setup was also really good.
Well, of course, the setup was amazing, and that's a huge part of it too.
Yeah.
But just the way the neck felt, the way that it was so light, and of course the sound. It's just, to me, being able to grab a guitar on that high, like that sounds that well, and just play right away, to me is worth a lot.
Yeah, it is. Nice.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's go to our number 4.
Number 4. Yeah. Perfect. Okay, so coming from the other end of the spectrum, my number 4 is the guitar that I've had for a long time, and I've also had a lot of friends that have it too, and it's the Manouche Lachaudrome. And it's a kind of confusing story behind this, but I think Alain from Del Arte, he started building new guitars under the mark Manouche.
So it's a Del Arte.
Yeah, essentially.
Okay.
But the thing is that they're built in China, but they're set up and fretted, I think, in the U.S. That's the way it works. And these guitars, they usually start at around $1,000. And to me, for $1,000, it's the best guitar you can get for around $1,000. Best new guitar, Yeah. And so I used it for a very long time, and I have friends that use them. And if it's set up well, it's incredible the sound you can get. And for me, it's for someone that's kind of starting playing gypsy jazz, or maybe not starting, but it's your second guitar before you move on to some $20,000 French guitar or something, So to me, that's why this is the best guitar, in my opinion, in that price range of $1,000. And used, you can find them cheaper too. And you can find these right now. You can find these on Tommy Davies' website, JangoGuitars.com.
Okay, yeah.
That's the best place to find them, as far as I know.
But that specific model, or
well, they have several models, I think, and they change the model names. But we have Manouche Lachaudrome, I think Manouche Nuage.
Okay.
And they're all around that price range, and they have O holes and D holes.
Okay, great.
Yeah. And so, what's your number 4?
So my number 4 actually is the guitar that I play now. So that's pretty sad. There's 3 guitars that are better, but I love this guitar. And the funny story is, it's a Srinakis, I think 2008. I bought it from Brad.
Yeah, me.
And I don't think you didn't really like it, or you were fed up with it. Maybe you played it too long. But I have to say, a big part of the reason that I love this guitar, and that's actually a very important part of guitars, is the setup.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because when I got it, it was very difficult to play. It was very hard to play, and even though I liked the sound, I didn't really enjoy playing it.
Yeah, of course.
But I knew with the proper setup, the guitar should be amazing, and I have proof.
Yeah.
So I had a very good guitar setup guy made a setup, especially for the strings. I play with tens. And so he had it set up, and this bridge is great also. We'll talk about it later. But then I took it to Samoa, and everybody was playing this guitar, and everybody wanted to buy it. Some people wanted to buy it for me on the spot.
Yeah, you were saying Stoklo was a fan.
Stoklo was playing and said, "This is a great guitar."
Yeah.
And so I knew it was part of the setup, but it's also just the guitar sounds very modern.
Yeah.
It has a kind of a modern sound. It's not really like the old school sound, even though you can get the old school sound. But then I played another Srinakis, and it was also a great guitar, very similar, but it didn't sound as sweet as this guitar, and I think the reason for that is the bridge. Because this is not the original bridge. This is a bridge sold again by Tommy Davies.
Yeah, I think Tommy gave it to me, and I put it on there, and it fixed the guitar right.
I think he makes them himself, and it's a rosewood bridge, right? I think the original bridge was ebony.
Yeah.
And I'm now convinced that rosewood bridges are the way to go. So that also might be a thing. If you have a guitar and you think the sound could be better, you could try a rosewood bridge.
Yeah.
And it will change the sound for sure.
Yeah, and I think talking about this guitar was good to bring up 2 points. the point about how important a setup is.
Yeah.
And also how important changing a bridge can possibly be.
but-
So there's a lot of little modifications you can do for your guitar that actually will almost make it into a new guitar.
That's true.
So if you have a guitar and you're super bummed with it, try a few other things before just giving up and getting a new one.
So now I have 3 guitars that are not mine, that are higher on this.
Yeah.
So let's go to those guitars.
Okay, so number three.
My number 3 guitar is a guitar, again a guitar owned by Stoffelo, but it's the guitar that he's playing right now, which is a Hal. And of course Hal got a lot of notoriety by building the guitar that Pirelli played for many years. Maybe he still plays it.
The purple one?
The purple one, yeah, it's kind of a
Or the
color.
red one?
Well, red, purple, depends on the color correction in the...
Actually, someone write in the comments whether it's red or purple.
But that's a D-hole, and Stoffel has an oval hole. And the reason why it's above my guitar, for instance, is it's very similar to the Swinakis. In sound, has a lot of sustained kind of modern sound, but it's just a little bit better. The sound is a little bit nicer, it looks a little nicer. And Stoffel told me himself that this is the best guitar he ever played, if you look at all aspects. So it's a compromise between sound, durability, ease of play. He has several different bridges, like when the weather conditions change, he can adjust the bridge very easily. So number 3 is
well, is it maybe, but it's like maybe a couple €100 more expensive, no?
let's make it a couple of thousand. But that's the issue. It's very expensive. But I'm thinking they're worth it. They're great guitars. If you're ever in Samoa, the festival, Hal always has a stand. You can try all of his guitars. I tried a bunch, and they're actually all great. So, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is, and biased, but it's my guitar. Of course, I couldn't make this list and not have my guitar somewhere on the list. That'd be horrible. So my guitar is it's an Olivier Marant. He's a French luthier who now lives in Spain, and this I got from Olivier Kichteft from the Doigt de l'Homme. It's his old guitar, and before it was his guitar, it was Benoit Convert. So it's been a lot of the little Doigt albums have this guitar on it. But so anyways, this guitar is it has an older sound and it has a lot of attack. It's an old guitar and it's been played for a really long time, so it's been really opened up, you know. And for me, I feel that all of the Marant guitars, they have character. Like, you know, it's a Marant guitar. They have a really signature sound, and you always know when it's something from them. And so you can either get them directly from the luthier. It takes a while for them to build it.
It's like 2 years waiting.
Yeah, so it takes a while. Or you can find it secondhand, which is what I do. But for me, this is it's a classic.
Because Adel Monniard played the Marin for a while.
Yeah.
I think Gonzalo also.
Yeah, Gonzalo, Sébastien Ginu, it's all the people with the same...
What I really like about the guitar is it has a very dry, growly sound. You know? It's very
definitely. I'm a huge fan of that sound.
Yeah.
That's why I love this guitar. But it's not my number 1. No.
Yeah. Let's go to our number 2s.
So my number 2 guitar is a Buzzotto that I've played in Django and June. And Buzzotto is an old luthier, so it's really like, if you're going for a traditional Gypsy sound, this is how you get it, with something like an old Favino or an old Buzzotto. And the story about how I came across this guitar is because I went to Django in June last year. I was teaching. I didn't have a guitar with me. So Michael Bauer, who's there every year, and he has a whole collection of Selmers, Favinos, and Buzzottos, he let me use this Buzzotto for the whole festival. Oh. And the Buzzotto has this nickname, the Beast. For one reason, because it's really loud and powerful, and it has a really dark and barking sound, but also because it's one of the ugliest guitars I've ever seen. It's horrifying.
Is it D-hole or?
Yeah, it's a D-hole, but the D, if I remember, the D is a weird shape, and then it has the worst pick guard. It has this huge black pick guard attached with metal to the guitar. It's just a very ugly guitar.
But is that important for you, the look of the guitar?
It's not important, but it's, you know, if you're spending like, you know, over €2,000 on a guitar, it's nice to have a guitar that looks nice.
Is it over 2?
It's a Buzzotto. It's a collector, you know. Yeah. But it's an ugly guitar, you know.
Okay.
I mean, I don't put too much value in that, but I think my guitar is beautiful.
But it's number 2.
It's what?
It's still number 2.
Yeah, it's
so
number 2.
the sound is more important then.
Yeah, the sound is absolutely more important. Exactly. The sound is very important, and so this guitar is, but it's got the real traditional old sound. It's incredible, and it's a vintage guitar, so
nice.
you can't get more real than that. You know?
Well, I've never played Busado.
No,
Yeah. Well, my number 2 is a guitar builder was also on your list, and it's also a Bob Holo.
Okay.
And I have to say before I start talking about it, I played several Bob Holos now, and I didn't like them all. But these, I'm talking about 2 Bob Holos I really liked. And it might have also been the circumstances. It was my first visit to Jungle Fest Northwest. I was just visiting, was checking out the festival. I knew there would be a lot of people that were members of the Roseburg Academy, and I was supposed to meet them, talk to them. Mm-hmm. And I met a great guitar player there, and he was like 12 then.
13.
No.
13.
His name is Quinn Shant. He's from Canada. He was like 18 something.
Mm.
And we were just jamming. It was the time that I was just starting to play a little bit of solos, or lead guitar, and I started rhythm for a long time. And we were just jamming outside with the weather was nice. And then this guy came that I knew from like people saying, "Oh, that's Bob Holo," but I didn't really know him. He said, "Hey guys, you want to try out these guitars?" He brought 2 guitars. Said these are like I just built them. And they're like prototypes, and they're like different. Which one do you like better? And then I played them, and I loved them both. And Quinn loved them too. So we were like we played them for like 45 minutes. Just the 2 of us jamming, and then and I had to give them back.
I still have that same recurring dream where I open my front door and it's Bob standing with 2 guitars and say, "Please try these."
I live this dream. Well, so number 2 is Bob Holo. So now we're getting to our number 1s, the best guitars we've ever played.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Okay, Chris, why don't you tell us what your number 1 guitar is?
My number 1 guitar
of all time.
Of all time. I played a couple of guitars of this guitar builder, and I actually really liked them. I didn't play a single one that I didn't like, but this particular model I loved, and it was the old AJL of Dennis Cheng.
Oh, wow.
And it was in the same festival, Jungle Fest West, and it was just laying around. I was playing. I was like, "What's this guitar? This is the best guitar." I was just starting to play lead, right?
Yeah.
And I had the feeling that it was so easy to play lead on that guitar. My technique like doubled. It felt like it. Right? It was easy to produce sound, and it was the AJL Finnish builder. And then later I played AJL of other people. I played the AJL of Paul de Schaefer, which is a great guitar. I played the AJL of Ollie, which was great. So, and the other thing is, those guitars, they feel very sturdy and durable.
Oh,
so even though they are durable, the sound still, because they're saying like the thinner the top, the better the sound. Yeah. But with AJL, I had the feeling that it sounded great.
It disregards that.
But you can just throw it. You can throw it from a building, and it will still work.
Yeah, like it's not heavy in a bad way, but it's just sturdy. It's,
Yeah, and I have to say, another thing is that the case you get with those guitars.
Ooh,
those are great.
That's worth it.
Because they are hard cases, but they're like small footprint.
Yeah. Right. So you can put them in another case, which is something Hemert does.
Yeah, and he won an AJL.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that.
Well, what's your number 1 then?
Okay, so this wasn't planned, and I didn't know that both of our top guitars are an AJL.
You're also
yes. Okay. It's like an endorsement for AJL or something. So, anyways, my top guitar that I've ever played. I didn't even think I really noticed it at the moment when I first played it, but it's an AJL, and it's Ollie's AJL. Olli Soikeli.
The new one?
Finnish player. Yeah, the new one.
Okay.
I think it's the XO 503 model.
Yeah.
And that guitar, I've also played a lot of AJLs. Those AJLs that belong to Dennis, he sold to one of my friends, Nathan.
All right.
And so I've played that guitar. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Bob Perrins has an AJL in LA. I've played that. It's incredible. Jeff Redeich has an AJL, play that, incredible. And I've also played Paulus's and Ollie's, but the newest AJL that Ollie had when he came over
he played it here.
He played it right here. Yeah, he played it right here, and the second I touched that guitar, you know that feeling you get when you notice that every other guitar you played and your guitar especially, it just is no longer great.
Yeah, it's no longer an option.
Yeah. So the second we played one song and I was like, I am completely unhappy with my guitar, and I was so bummed out. Yeah, but that is an incredible guitar because it's sturdy and it has that that gypsy sound, and that attack, and it's so clear. Every note is so clear.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
Yeah, that's also funny because AJL, he builds those travel guitars too. I'm kind of curious. I'm kind of curious. You can just fold them, right? And you can put them in the bag and nobody will ever say you have to check this guitar.
Yeah.
And if you never played an AJL, you want to try them. He's always at someone.
Yeah,
every you can try them. So let's go to some final thoughts.
Final thoughts, perfect. In summary, I feel that one thing to always keep an eye out, like how I was mentioning with my guitar, is how guitars open up over time. And actually a lot of the times, what might be a stale, closed guitar beforehand, after a lot of playing, and maybe a year or two after a lot of playing, it really opens up. And I feel like is the case with my guitar. It's because the wood, it needs time to open up. So the actual sound of the guitar can change over time.
Yeah.
So that's something that I think is worth knowing. And then also my other point is that I think it's important, above all, to be just happy with your guitar. Yes, there are famous luthiers and they sound cool and everyone recommends them, but having a guitar is such a personal choice. It should be a guitar that has the kind of sounds that you want, not the kind of sounds that Adrian Maillard wants or the kind of sounds that Borelli wants or something, but something that you think sounds cool and is fun for you to play.
Yeah.
Because if you have a guitar that's too difficult to play, you're not going to play it as much, and it's a very bad road to go down.
So and my final thought is that the guitar make is important. Of course, the guitars are going to be different from different luthiers, but it cannot be as overstated enough that setup and strings and pick are all big factors in how good your guitar sounds. Mm-hmm. So even though you might have a guitar that you think you're not happy with, and that might very well be the case, but it's always worth it to have it set up. Mm. I mean, absolutely. There's a lot of people, they spend $2,500 for a guitar, and they don't spend the €50 for the setup. So always have your guitar set up, and then even the worst guitar will sound a little bit better with the setup.
And that's the best advice you can give, because the setup is the king.
Yeah, go to a good guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I think this is the end of this top 10. So we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, next episode.